please mute your microphones. Request all to mute your microphones, please.
शशिकांत सर,
हा,
दर 15 सेकंदला तुम्हाला ते रिपीट करावं लागेल म्यूट युअर सेल्फ. जसे जसे जॉईन होतील तसे तसे.
हो हो, पण ते काही लोक पहिल्यापासून जॉईन आहेत आणि बंद करत नाहीयेत. सो दिस इज नॉट गुड साइन.
पहिल्या 1 मिनिटासाठी 4 वेळा तरी म्हणावं लागेल.
नो इश्यू, नो इश्यू.
करू शकता सर सगळ्यांना.
All Ajinkya's, please mute your microphones.
It's 100%.
100 is the limit for the Zoom. More than 100 we cannot join.
Yeah, so we already crossed 100 many times. So many people tried joining.
So now a lot of guys are waiting actually to bash inside.
It's a recorded.
Yeah, join early. Otherwise,
Armika Chandran, he was our semi school student actually. So he's going to brief kya kiya, the survey, something.
Is it the first time we are crossing 100?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great record. 100.
Houseful.
The highest. Not even to the people. Not even came to ma'am.
This is a wonderful lecture actually.
Sir, please continue. Shashikant sir, please ask sir to continue. We can continue.
Yeah. Don't worry. Let's say till the time, let's say he like willing to finish ना, तर आपण तो पण त्यांना ते टाइम देतोय. Don't worry.
Okay, sir. Let others join in.
Yeah.
It's already 95 there.
नाही, निंबोरकर सर जॉईन व्हायच्या आधी 100 झालं नाही पाहिजे म्हणजे.
नाही सर जॉइन झाले.
But thanks to Dan Shetty and Yogesh Deshpande sahib, really good insights.
It's a pleasure, sir.
शशिकांत,
हाँ,
स्क्रीन शेअर करना एनेबल सरांसाठी.
आले
शेअरिंग कर एनेबल.
आले का? एकच मिनिट.
शेअर करणार आहे.
हाँ, right.
So reached 100. See whether the sir is there or not.
Please mute your microphones, please. Everyone, please.
शशिकांत,
हाँ केलं सर, केलं. स्क्रीन शेअर केलं ते.
केलं ना?
हाँ, येस.
1 मिनिट. येत नाहीये.
नाही, येईल ना सर.
सर अजून दिसत नाहीयेत.
आले सर, आले.
Yeah, he is there.
Okay.
हाँ सर, yes. Please, others, please mute your microphone. Thank you.
Do you NHV? I have no PowerPoint presentation. Then was face house here side now.
Sir, you can continue. We are seeing the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was on the saying TOPAC was planned by Pakistan. The plan was similar to 1965, where this time they had trained more terrorists. The people had crossed the line of control, and hundreds of terrorists were supposed to come, capture Srinagar, have the civil administration in their hand, and Pakistan would have definitely walked over, captured Zojila, and from rear side would have turned the tables, and had Hill and Ladakh in their hand. So entire J&K was there for the asking. So very good plan, excellent plan, but they did not imagine and anticipate this response by Indian government and the Indian army. Indian government, whatever weak, good, bad, ugly was there, took a very good decision and pumped in the Indian army then. And rise of militancy, why was there? The militants, when that during 1990-91, when I had gone to Kashmir that time, every house had sent at least one chap across the border and came across with the weapons, AK-47, various kind of LMGs, MMGs, and rockets, whole flush. And they thought that Azadi, the freedom was just around the corner. And those of the people who did not want, the well-to-do people, good people, who did not want to get with the militancy, also send their children across, thinking that if the Azadi comes, then they should not be left behind. So this was actually when I had some good friends, we are very good, intellectuals and traders. And when I used to meet them, they said, "Humne to aise kar diya." Now you see this photos. It's the first freedom movement was headed by JKLF, pro-freedom. They did not want to join India or Pakistan, they wanted freedom. And Yasin Malik was that man. But this was not liked by Pakistan. They wanted a Pakistani supported, that the people should join Pakistan. And therefore, these people were replaced by Hizbul Mujahideen, who were predominantly active in South Kashmir, etc., where the Jamaat-e-Islami hold was more. And this famous Shuhuriyat, Gilani, all they are actually Jamaat-e-Islami followers. And Hizbul Mujahideen took over the charge. In 1990, mass migration of the Hindu population. There were 4 to 5 lakh Hindus. That I know for sure. I've seen the posters. The posters were outside the mosque, outside the mohallas, were stuck saying that all Hindus, we give you 3 days or a week maximum. You leave your homes as it is and get away. Otherwise, all will be killed. And by that time, number of killings were there. Every day, some killings or the other of the people. Mr. Ganju, Kichlu, Taklu, yes, all these people, prominent people were killed. In fact, Mr. Ganju was killed. He was a judge, High Court judge, chief judge, and his body was circled by 5 militants continuously so that nobody can lift him up. And every time, after every hour, they used to pump bullets in him. So there are some gruesome murders. So people were very scared. And from the mosque, the people used to say that all these Hindus, you should leave. Kashmiri Pandit, you must leave. If you stay, then you will be your wives and daughters for us. This was there. It was the posters I seen with my own eyes. And this is a first-hand account. So therefore, the mass migration 4 to 5 lakh came, and they were displaced. Came in Jammu state. Is all those people coming into the Kashmir Valley, thereafter they continue. Sama, Zaya, Jaharia, Abu Musa, all this non-state actors gained prominence during this time. And they relied on 4th generation war. What is 4th generation warfare? By they cannot counter insurgency. So you are a plainclothes civilian, then you are a civilian. If you have a weapon, then you are only seen as a weapon. There are certain photographs I pasted of what was happening those days. And these are the events you see in New York, or Parliament, Bali, Madrid, bombing, Chechnya, Ayodhya, London. So they were saying, there was a saying in those days. We used to see those cassettes being recorded. Has ke liya hai, Pakistan, lad ke lenge, Hindustan. This kind of thing, they were very much programmed. These people, their mind, they were very much brainwashed, and they said that we just go walk over, and they says people are waiting for you, and you liberate Kashmir. So then thereafter certain milestones, I'll be brief within the next, I'll conclude within after about 8 to 10 minutes. By 1995-96, Indian Army had lost about 5,000 officers, JCs and soldiers, but we had got the situation under control. There was no law, there was nothing from that place, Baramulla, Sopore, all this, nobody could move. The armed forces could not move, civilians could not move, there was no police functioning, there is no judiciary, there is nothing, no civil government. From that point, we got this situation with the total control, handed over the reins to the civilians, judiciary, police, everything started functioning in 1996. Again, the elections were held and the civilian government came to power and we retreated in the background. And then there was something called Rashtriya Rifle Force was created and plonked in the valley. So in case subsequently required, we are there to act. And at the moment, there are 63,000 troops of Rashtriya Rifle in south of Pir Panjal and the Kashmir Valley, which is a very, very good thing. Then after having seen that valley has been quietened, the Pakistanis started activating the area south of Pir Panjal. South of Pir Panjal is Jammu, Poonch, Rajouri, Naushera, and in the hills of Udhampur. And you find those of you who were careful watchers, the news came once in 1998 that hundreds of Hindus were massacred in the higher reaches of Pir Panjal in Paranpur and in Doda, and they had again become refugees. So this activities they now started in the south of Pir Panjal. People are very hardy. If they succeed, then there was definitely a problem. And therefore, in 1998, we started pumping in more troops and we started fighting against the Chaz and whatever base they had created in Paranpur. Doda is very, very difficult to fight. Going on the mountain top itself take about 12 to 14 hours and they had their free runs and their own domain. So from there, in 1998, we started, and by 2001, again, we broke the back of the insurgency or this terrorists, and again, took the areas from them and maintained peace. So there is a seesaw battle. Whenever we hand it over to civilians, for some time it remains okay, and then subsequently we had to go in full force, lose some men, or lose not some, we had to lose many men, and establish the proper control for the area and get it into our fold. In 2001, what had happened in the southern side, that is south of Pir Panjal, where I commanded a corps, in 16 Corps, 220 kilometers of line of control, was fenced by a fence. And therefore, and it was aggressively patrolled. For every area, every line was visited by the boots on ground after 3 minutes. Therefore, the situation, the infiltration in this side was totally controlled. And as a result, this area remained quite subsequent. Now also. Therefore, so both sides are possible. They took a cue from this Arab Spring in Palestine organization who started that Arab Spring and the agitational uprising. The similar thing they started in 2019. People started pelting stone, agitating, and then again we were a little on the back foot because every situation we had to study and act accordingly. The stone pelting was a major thing, and the forces, armed forces, had to operate. At least one can say one hand tied behind the back because HR groups, the media had become very powerful, and they started reporting a small thing against the forces. So there was a dynamics are totally different. But we are in number, a great number, as I said, 63 battalions, about 63,000 troops. So there was no problems. The only thing we always appeal to the citizenry that please support us. If something wrong happens, we'll ourselves come to you. If this is wrong, happened in the line of duty. But do not question us. But subsequently, some of the people always did question us. Now, present strength of terrorists in the valley, I said not more than 200, 220. This will not be more than that. Come what may. Now, because we are firmly on the ground, we know the situation, we know how to do, and we keep on killing them. And therefore, As of now, I don't find there should be any. In spite of they say after Article 370, either terrorism will come down or terrorism will go up. Nothing will happen. I'm quite certain of it. It will be as it is. And what is fueling this? Maulvis. Now, Kashmir is a Muslim-dominated place. Now, why should they have Maulvis from outside the state? 80% of the Maulvis are from UP and Bihar, and some from Kerala. And these are the Maulvis who actually spew venom in their Friday meetings. And if we have the control over this Maulvis, half the problem will be solved. Sufism is dead in the Kashmir. And now there is no problem for autonomy, there is nothing, there is no problems of development, there is no problem of employment. Kashmir is very good on all this ground, very fertile land, everything is very good. The problem is now religion. Now it has they gone back, we want a state on the religion. Though they do not say it openly, but the ground realities are like this. Education Institute. When I was a GOC of Purpose, I was controlling the South Kashmir, entire Kashmir, Anantnag, Shopia. You may remember, a lot of people must have, there was a fellow called Burhan Wani. Now this boy was just in my area and he was just about 9-10 class pass and he just joined militancy. His father was a principal of one of the education institutes in my area. So I went to him. In fact, I called him. I said, Principal साहब आप इधर आइए. आपका बेटा गया है इसमें. ये ठीक बात नहीं. ये बेचारा 1-2 साल के बाद मर जाएगा. इसको बोलो मत जाए. साहब आप अपना काम करो. उसको अपना काम करने दो. मैंने कहा तो फिर मारा जाएगा. जो मरने दो दूसरा बेटा है उसको दूसरा दे दूंगा. Mind you, if it is a mindset of a person who is a principal of a premier education institution, what he can produce. So this is a very, very dangerous trend. Fundamentally, we have to stop this. Land grabs. What is meant by this? Is Kashmir land by and large is 95% with Muslims. Barring some with the Kashmiri Pandits which they have already sold and they come out. And we could not have bought land in the south of Pir Panjal. The funds coming from Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, are flush with the fund. The Muslims in those areas with the 55-45 population ratio started buying the land at the exorbitant prices. Suppose the land costs 1 rupee, they started giving 5 rupees. And therefore Hindus and Sikhs in those areas, when they greed, they used to sell their land, go and buy land in Jammu, build their good kothis and all. And therefore, almost the entire 60-65% of the land has been grabbed by the Muslims. In this is legal, nobody can say. But subsequently, we did caution the people that do not allow the transfer of land. Increase the number of mosques. When I went there in 1992-93 in Kashmir, village had 1 mosque or maximum 2 mosques. 1 mosque only. Today, each and every village about 8 to 10 mosques. And very spank. All these funds have come from Saudi Arabia. And they see this swankiness and the young generation feel this is the thing. You follow this fundamentalist principle, we will get this kind of good life. So therefore, this increasing number of mosques. I don't know what is the solution for this. But Tabligis, as a corps commander in 16 Corps in 2015-16, the Tabligis used to come in Doda and Kishtawar and ask them, why are you coming every day, 37 days, 40 days? He says, we are preaching Quran. I said, this is an area which is dominated by Muslims. Do you want to teach Quran to Muslims? They already know it. So we deliberately, tried to actually stop them from going to various portions where the Hindus were in majority so that they cannot, they should not try and convert the people. Though it is not our mandate. But I said, we said that we must leave it as a status quo as far as the religion is concerned. We should not get involved in religion, but also should not be, we should not be taken in a different direction also. One religion should not take advantage of it. Article 3, what needs to be done? Then only I said, and this point though has been cleared by the government, Article 370, because of the fundamentally the religious shape the revolution has taken or whatever agitation or whatever they call it has taken. Article scrapping of this is a must, and rightfully government has scrapped. Kudos to them, hats off to them. They've taken a very bold and good decision for the nation. Demographic balance. See, whenever a secular country is there, see, both communities respect each other only when there is a balance. or mutually assured destruction plan. He says, if you do this thing to me, you'll also get the same thing back. And therefore, demographic balance is necessary. This 96.4% has to change to 60-40 in the valley. Pandits must go back to their homeland. And therefore, the condition has to be created. It will, as I say, people say articles reasonable, it will stop terrorism, will stop everything good. No, it's not like a button. You put off the button or put on the button, everything. It's not like that. It will take time, 10 years, 12 years. Definitely, if you go correctly, this problem will be solved. Religious tolerance, that Maulvis, etc., they have to be educated, they have to be got in the mainstream and told that they should preach in a manner that secular credential of Kashmir Valley has to be re-established. The last one, Rohingya. Mr. Gilani, he says we don't want anybody, any Hindus or anybody or any Christian or Modi or Jama coming into our land because we are separate. Again, in those days, used to say we are a special. But he said we will accept and welcome Rohingyas. So where is his logic? You want Rohingyas, but you don't want an Indian citizen. I mean, flawed logic. And now what has happened? All these Rohingyas in mass came to Jammu and Kashmir, and you go to Jammu today, entire Jammu city has been encircled by the camps and areas. They have been funded by the foreign government, funded by the Hurriyat, funded by well-to-do people who are big leaders to occupy this land. And therefore, where there was one mosque in the area of North Jammu, there will be hundreds of mosques. So this problem of Rohingya has to be solved. So therefore, there are so many other things which I want to convey, but these are the basic things which you have to do. Operations should continue, demographic balance has to be there, Pandits has to return to homeland, religious tolerance has to be taught, and the people like this external factors like Rohingyas, they must be showed their place and sent to wherever they come from. See, the Bangladesh is a Muslim country, which is adjacent to Burma, where the Rohingyas come. There is only one river, Naf River. They have to cross and come to Bangladesh, and they come there. But Bangladesh don't accept them as their citizens. There are major camps, one in Cox's Bazar, other in Chittagong, full of Rohingyas. And they are put in refugee camp in a pathetic condition. But here in Rohingya, in Delhi, our intelligentsia, good groups, or human, whatever groups are there, they say, we must give them good treatment. Actually, yes, as a human, we must give them good treatment. But why not when the co-religious, where the neighbors, why should they jump for Bangladesh and come to Delhi, and from Delhi jump or to go to Jammu? It's left to you to decide. You have to ponder all this fact. Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. I have finished well within my time. I think maybe 1-2 minutes here and there. I'm ready to take any questions which you have.
It was a fantastic talk, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, any questions? I got 20 minutes.
Yeah, please.
I'm Colonel Kirkar. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I'm Colonel Kirkar. I'm 1967 pass out. I'm from the regiment of RT. And I've served a number of years in Jammu Kashmir. Of late, we have had far too many casualties. The last month especially. First 4 and then these recently 5 of Ashutosh Sharma. I think we need to use our weaponry more effectively rather than bothering for collateral damage. We need to propagate this in the army to save our valuable lives of our Jawans and precious lives of our officers who are trained for so many years. What do you feel about it? We need to impinge upon this mentality कि देश के लिए जान कुर्बान करो. I think we are overdriving it in the armed forces. We need to kill the other guy and save yourself first, like what Patton advocated. What do you feel, sir?
Okay, sir. Good question, because nowadays everybody is asking the same questions. After this, 4 people have died, a colonel, a major. If you see the statistics, I'm not going to say anything. We always had this kind of casualties. In fact, lately the casualties had reduced. See, in 2015-16 also, 2 boys died when they went into the room intervention. We can, in the wisdom of hindsight, we can say this should have been done, this should not have been done. But I'll dispel 2 or 3 facts. Firstly, The army has got very good weapons. There's no denying the fact that nobody can say we have got a inferior weapons as compared to terrorists. No, we have got equally or better weapons than them. Secondly, protection. When I was NGO, responsible for supplying 150,000 of bulletproof jackets made by Tata Advanced Material Limited were given to them. So there, and we are ordering for another 386,000, which are in the pipeline. So therefore, protection is also Now this specific operation which taken place, it just happens. So you sometimes you take 10 wrong decisions, but nothing happens to you. So you are well aware, you have served in J&K. Nothing happens. You get away with it. But another day, you take one wrong decision and everything goes wrong. It is one of those days something wrong has happened. Nobody wants to die. And nobody is ill prepared. They were very well prepared. This battalion 21 RR is one of the best battalions.
One of the finest battalions.
One of the finest battalions. I was there as a GOC of Victor Force, where the next adjacent to me in the Kilo Force. I always used to envy them. Every day they used to do some various activities. 21 RR, 22 RR, 44 RR, 42 RR. So they are very, very good battalions. But just too bad. Like one of my COs of 42 RR in Taral is a hotbed. He died. He was one of the most daredevil chap and very, very intelligent. And I should tell him, don't expose yourself. And he used to know the pulse of the terrorist. But one day he took one wrong decision. He was killed. Munnarai, you should have seen him. But sometimes you take every good decision, everything correct decision as per the book. But your destiny is there again. Sometimes it so happens. So
no, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But what, as an armed force, we should propagate is we should use extent firepower. Fire UBGLs, fire flare, flamethrowers, fire anything, but don't get physical contact involved. This is we as an organization should propagate rather than propagating avoid collateral damage, which gets the boys into that josh. यार boss ने बोला है collateral damage नहीं होना चाहिए. This overrides.
Again, give an example. During my command, we killed 55 terrorists in South Kashmir. 55 hardcore terrorists. I'm not counting small riffraff. All hierarchy was finished. We never ever said that avoid collateral. If terrorists are hidden in a house, just too bad that house goes down.
Yeah, that's the correct way.
It used to happen like that. Now also it is happening. This probably the exact details we will not know exactly what has happened. There might be so many intricacies. This their CEO was there as a 2IC also. The operating each and every chat.
Sena Medal Bar means such a coveted persona he is.
So sir, we will not know exactly what has happened. And see, somebody says CEO should not go or general should not go. See, you have to leave it at that moment. So general might go. He might do something else.
I agree with you.
CEO might go. He has to go. If the CEO doesn't go, and I don't agree that CEO should not go. Why should not he go?
CEO should go because he's trained all the way for only this.
Absolutely. So, but I can assure you, sir, we are not afraid of collateral damages. We are not afraid of anything coming onto us. We take a decision today also, and we are brought up with this. And I'll give one example. I'll give one example. In Pulwama, we had killed 3 LED terrorists, and all villages about 700, 800 people have out. And was away, this thing, and nobody was there to give decision. And one ambulance major was badly injured, and the ambulance went, and about 100 people came with the weapons and were about to lynch. And the police were shouting, "Don't fire, don't fire." Now this chap rang up definitely on the. I was in the air. He said, "Sir, kya kare?" I said, "Fire." Good, sir. So he fired about 5 magazines. About 25 people were bad injured, and they were extricated. And subsequently, for next 2 months, I had to undergo misery of court of inquiry after it. Police launched FIR against us, all 7, 8 of us, attempt to murder, what was 377.
All sorts of charges.
All this thing. And when I asked the police, we help you all the time. He said, tomorrow they say ki you come and General Saab come in the civil court and stand. I cannot refuse. So this should be told. So these are, but sir, to satisfy you, I can say that the people do not take it lying down, and we are not afraid of any collateral damage. If a chap is there,
Then it's good. As long as you're not afraid of
I hope
collateral damage.
so.
I'm glad. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Sir, Manoj
Your-
here. Manoj here. Maybe as a citizen, are we looking, want to hear about your views on Baltistan? Are we able to, will we be able to hear some good news on that as well? About
Gilgit Baltistan. Okay. See, these are the things, I cannot say either black or white. See, there are rhetorics, we will take UK today. To be very frank, both sides are equally matched on the ground. Both sides have nuclear weapons. So to say that I will just walk and capture this thing, I'm being very practical, may not be correct. But yes, the decision is given, and I'll not go into the details. The plans, which are good ones, we are at the moment having whatever we want. Enough ammunition is there. There is no hollowness. Good weapons are there. More are in the offing. Excellent aircrafts. Our Navy is very well trained, very well deployed, and we are operationally capable. So I only just say if push comes to shove, will not be found wanting, and probably we may have an edge. And we can also operate between the window between low insurgency and nuclear warfare. There is a window for conventional warfare. However, it is restricted to a particular time frame. We have to finish everything in that time. That much only I can tell you.
Agree, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, any more questions, please?
Yeah.
I think the discussion will go for more hours in that case.
No. Like, see, we have Yogesh. Let's say we will finish it up in next 6 minutes, because let's say the last 6 minutes are left for this particular disconnection.
Any question I can take on?
Yeah.
If not, but then we can have some other session on the operation in Siachen Glacier or various other things. And
we can take. Yeah.
Glacier are one of my classmates. I don't know whether he is there on the today. Colonel Ghorpade. The record of staying on Bana post, the highest post for maximum number of days. Such committed men. Staying there itself, at that height, you don't get oxygen. There is a question. There is a fear of getting the avalanche. There is a fear of diseases like frostbite and whatnot. And still staying more than what is require guts. And there is always, every day, there is a danger that Pakistan might come and attack, capture a force and kill you. So we have such very, very dedicated people.
Sir, good evening, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir. I'm Colonel Shashikant, sir. I'm Shashikant Wagmude, sir.
Okay.
And I'm from that Armored Engineer Regiment, which is static. So as a volunteer, we went for a resuscitation of friends to the Tangdar area, that is 104.
Okay.
And there, during that resuscitation, we lost around 6 boys in ID blast. Generally, since we are from Armored Engineers, so we don't lose anything. But we lost that 6 boys. And that was 10 years before. And yesterday, 2 days before, again we lost 1 boy that was from 2RR. So after this new policy that government has taken a big step for Union Territory, we are not finding any difference in what was there 10 years before and now.
Okay, I got your question. And again, I said, by making Union Territory, slapping Article 370, it is not a magic wand. It is there and it will happen. See, you are engineer yourself. And you see, all along their mines are there, right from 47, 65. So they kept on laying mines. Very important character of this mines is that this mine I have never seen in my entire life. Pakistani or a terrorist getting injured by this mine. How the injuries are to our own people. I don't know how we live like this. But our casualty rates of mine has come down drastically. And there's a one odd thing, does happen that I did some blast. ID is different. ID is different. Mines is different. ID is laid by these people who come. Therefore, our drills have to be correct. But surprisingly, this ID casualties have come down drastically in last decade or so. Very, very few. And when they come, it is basically a kind of an ambush. Ambush, assisted by IEDs.
Yeah, Nimborkar sir, good evening. This is Hemant Pandey. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
This is a very different question. I just want to ask that what formula of warfare of Raja Shivaji you feel should be applied to get back POK?
See, different eras are different, but the basics are the same. So the module here in this case, it cannot. Chhatrapati Shivaji never only had guerrilla warfare. He was preparing himself for having a proper peace battle with Aurangzeb, and he was readying himself for that. Unfortunately, he died before this. So therefore, what are the weak? Now, where he is weak, I will not tell you where he is. Okay, but
sir, good evening. Sir, good evening, sir. Yeah. Hello, sir. Good evening. This is Abhay Mule. Sir, this is Abhay Mule from Aurangabad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sir, I have one question. Why can't we have operation like in Sri Lanka? They have made it against this entity Prabhakaran. Why can't we have such an operation in Jammu and Kashmir?
In which kind of operation?
लिबरेशन टाइगर्स ऑफ तमिलिलम प्रभाकरन को जिस तरह से उन्होंने कैप्चर किया था.
See, they're different things. Prabhakaran would have never would have died if the various people wouldn't have helped. We are one of the nations which helped Sri Lanka to nab these people. Now there is two different things. Here they are fighting in our own area. They were two different, conventional wars. So here, see, the chap carries a weapon, after 10 minutes hides it. You cannot touch it. I'm a civilian. See, it was not like alarm, okay, Prabhakaran in this area, let all hell, let everything loose and kill him. It's not like that. Here, if you don't have a proof, you cannot kill him. It's like a policing cum soldiering job. So you have to be very, very careful, very clear. You have to get that chap open fire,